Hello and welcome to your messages for the week. Today is Saturday, the 11th of February 2023, because again, I have a busy Sunday tomorrow. But these are the messages for this coming week and starting from tomorrow. And that one came out when I said starting from tomorrow. Interesting, huh? But also, as we know, these messages can be relevant for any time that you're hearing them, any time that you resonate with them. Then it's meant to be, isn't it? It's meant to be a message for you. We know how it works now. So take a deep breath, activate your own intuition. Welcome back. And if you're new to my channel and you don't know me, my name is Deborah Jane Sutton, and you can find out more about me and the things that I do from my website at deborahjanesutton.com and from this YouTube channel. So have a good browse around because there's lots of different things on here. So we're now we're well into February now, Valentine's Day this week, yes. Opportunity for some self-love, I always think. So if you haven't already seen the messages for the month of February, I will put a link in the description, the video in the end screen for you. Check those out. It was all about making more conscious choices. Okay, let's dive in. 3 cards have come out. Here's a little bit of drama. Going on. But if you look carefully, you'll see that it's actually youngsters or children even, and they're not really hurting each other. This is just kind of a little bit of maybe an ego battle, something like that. Are we having a little battle with other people on egoic reasons, or are we actually having a battle with ourselves and having a little battle with our own ego? Maybe we know there's a certain way that we should behave and we're just not doing it. I don't see anything wrong with just letting that ego run its course. There's no point in pretending we're someone that we're not. I think the important thing is just acknowledging and identifying. So I often find myself, wallowing in my ego and behaving from my ego and making decisions and things like that from a place of ego. The first step is just to know that you're doing it. I think that's a massive step. We've come out of so much density. I don't even think that we know how to live. I think we're actually learning how to live properly because we have been so programmed. So don't beat yourself up if you make egoic choices. It's probably the way you were brought up. But acknowledging it, I think, is everything. Acknowledging it just brings you greater awareness. Putting your consciousness on it will help you not make those choices again. But there's no point in beating yourself up. There's no point in, thinking that there's something wrong or something bad. And let's look at it this way. The ego actually works different ways. I mean, what is the ego? Everyone has a different opinion of what this is. But the way I look at it, typically we think of someone that's egoic as being like overconfident and thinks that they're better than other people and stuff like that. But that's not it. To me, the ego is the shadow side. The ego is the parts of us that we're not acknowledging. Or so to me, the ego is also, it's also the parts of us that are not real, because we are divine love. So any parts of us that are not divine love are the ego. You can refer to them as the shadow side. So also those parts of us that don't think we're good enough, and those parts of us that think that we're not as good as other people, that's also ego. It's just the other side of the ego, but it's still not true, because you're no better than anyone else, but you're definitely not worse than anybody else. Okay, because there is only you. There is only you. So this is about having those little battles. So whether it be with other people or whether it be within you, we've got some grief coming up now. So I think this is about what I've just said. The Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body. those trapped emotions, they're not really you. They're not really who we are. That's all part of the ego. It's part of the story. It's the stories that we're creating. We're creating those stories in our head or from our experiences, but we're attaching stories to those experiences. And those stories have emotions attached to them. That's where this heartache comes from, because the swords are actually thoughts. So the heartache is the emotion that is attached to the thought. So this is why it's so important to forgive. And I'm not going to talk at length on forgiveness because I have a video on that, and I will put a link in the description and the video in the end screen. If you have an issue with forgiveness, I do urge you to watch that video, because the reason I've done all these videos is so that I can give you homework. And so that I don't make these weekly readings so long. Because this is often the forgiveness card, because it's about looking at those past events in your life that you have attached a negative thought to, which has a negative emotion attached to it, whether it be resentment, bitterness, anger, victimization, I was wronged, and all of this. That's all contraction. That's not going to help you evolve at all. So looking at it from a higher level of consciousness, understanding that you are the creator of your own reality, you created the whole lot, you agreed the whole lot before you incarnated. And all this adversity that we have experienced and other people have given us, or we've given ourselves, or we've given other people, it's all there to help us learn to grow. It's all there for us to grow from. So we need to look at it from that perspective. So then we can look back at these past events with an open heart of love and gratitude. That was a little summary of it. But if that's resonating with you and it's an issue for you and you know it is, then please check out that video. So interesting. This is about withdrawing, emotional withdrawal. The Eight of Cups is about, because Cups is emotions, and he's withdrawing into his cave. So this does look like it's a week of acknowledging our behavior, acknowledging what's coming up, perhaps triggering. These kids are all triggering each other, aren't they? I will put a link in the description to that as well, and the video in the end screen, because they're really connected. Understanding triggers and the path to forgiveness, it's massive. And this is about grief, dealing with grief, how we're going to learn from grief. And this is about taking time out on your own, which is the theme for February, and to actually process those emotions and to realize that there's nobody outside of you making you feel anything. If somebody has triggered you and you think, oh, they made me feel angry, they made me feel worthless, they made me feel guilty. No. Those feelings of anger and unworthiness and guilt are inside of you. And these people just held a mirror up to you. That's how it is energetically from an energy perspective. So you just need to work on that emotion and process that emotion without pointing fingers at other people. That's the summary of it. So if that's resonating with you, please check out that video as well. But also, what is happening at the moment is we have so much high frequency lights coming in from the solar sun, from the universe, from wherever we are. The universe, we are everything. Okay, but there is this high frequency coming in, and I want to refer to the my analogy with the bucket of dirty water. So I think of yourself as a bucket of dirty water, and the pure water is coming in, and it's coming in all the time. It doesn't just come in when you go and have a healing session, or when you've gone and done something fun and light-hearted, and you've gone for a walk in nature and you've raised your frequency. These are ways to raise your frequency, of course, have energy healing and do what you love, of course, and things like that. But just an everyday course of events, the light's coming in. So we know that we can feel a little bit emotional after energy healing, because we're processing. As the light comes in, the darkness comes out, and we're aware of it. But what's happening is this light's coming in the whole time, which means this pure water in the bucket of dirty water analogy, visualize pure water coming in. And as the pure water comes into the bucket, the dirty water in the bucket comes up and comes out. Okay, and then you keep on going. And then in the end, that water, that bucket is going to be full of pure, clean water. But the dirty water is coming out, even though you're not focusing on that. All you're focusing on is the pure water going in. And it's exactly the same with the light, because when the light comes in through the crown chakra or through any of the chakras, through whichever way the light's coming in, through our consciousness, it's coming into the cells of our body. And when the light comes in, the darkness leaves. And what are we calling darkness? The darkness is ego, anything that is not real. So that includes your trapped emotions, your negative trapped emotions, and your limiting beliefs. They're all part of the darkness, the ego, part of you that isn't really you, right? So that's coming out. So a lot of people, I've been getting a lot of people, and myself included, sometimes you just want to cry and you don't know why. um, and it's perfect, because if your body is allowing you to cry, it means that you're naturally, instinctively processing these emotions. It's because light has come in and the darkness is coming out. And crying is the body's natural mechanism for processing trapped emotions. So everything's working beautifully. So if you feel like having a little cry, please don't go into there's something wrong with me, something isn't right, and stop it. Don't try and stop the cry, because then that's actually a trapped emotion in itself. If you actively try and stop a cry is the emotion fulfilling its cycle. And everything is energy, and all energy wants to move in cycles, doesn't it? And if you stop it, it's like the water cycle. If you stop water in a stream, it's going to go stagnant. And then all sorts of things grow in it. And it's exactly the same with emotions, isn't it? So the emotions are there. We've trapped them in our body because we didn't want to feel them as they processed. So we trap them, and then they go bad. They go stagnant, and horrible things grow, like tumors and cysts and all sorts of other horrible malfunction, disease, illness, and what have you. So they cause blockages, don't they, in our energy system? So we want to make sure that the emotions carry on, and crying is the best way to do it. So there is nothing wrong. In fact, it's quite the opposite. If you find yourself wanting to have a cry, it's the opposite. It's everything is perfect. So a lot of people go into contraction and then feel even worse because they put a thought onto their experience, a negative thought. There is something wrong. And then they will put this failure, inadequacy, anxiety, and all of this. Change it. If you're having a little cry, I always think to myself, wow, isn't that cool? It's free energy healing. Have a little cry. It's free energy healing. And understand that there's nothing wrong at all. In fact, your body is naturally bringing up the darkness and out because the light has come in. So it's like the bucket of dirty water is being cleansed. The dirty water is coming out, and the purity of that light and pure, clean water is coming in and filling every cell of your body. So focus on that. And the other thing I want to mention with grief or any of this processing and crying and what have you, is another thing that I think really helps. I know I've said this before, but it's such an important thing, is that you are not your human. You are a multidimensional being, and the beautiful human that you're expressing yourself through in this lifetime is doing a grand job. But they asked for a human experience, which includes all of these experiences, with all of these emotions. But you are more than the human that you're representing in this lifetime. So as your higher self, you are your higher self, and you have a human. So if you can look at your human as a child, as you would a child, and when your human wants to cry and feel weak, see, why are you judging? Why are you judging it? Don't judge yourself for crying. Don't judge yourself for feeling weak. Your higher self has the divine strength and can hold space for your human, and you hold space for him or her, and you kind of look at your human like you would a child having a little tantrum, And you just hold that space. You make sure that they know they're loved, that they're secure, they're safe, and that they're allowed to experience those emotions and they're allowed to process them. We're always being told often not to show our emotions, not to cry, not to be angry, all of this stuff. Hold space for your human and let your human process those emotions. And when you do it from this higher level of consciousness, you're going to be doing it from an expanded state, which means you're holding that space of love and compassion for your human, which means, first of all, you're going to feel a little bit detached from the intensity of the situation, which is great, right? But you're still processing those emotions. So there's no bypassing going on. You're still doing the inner work, but you're doing it from a higher level of consciousness. You're not doing it from a place of there's something wrong, I'm a victim, I don't like this feeling, all of that. No. Let your human experience those emotions. Let them express that darkness that's coming up, because that's what all this is. It's the parts of you that are not really you. It's heartache and all sorts of things. And it can include thoughts, and it could include thoughts that are not true. And you could even be thinking, I keep coming back to this thought, but I know it's not true. I know I'm good enough. I know I can do it. So why do I keep thinking that I can't? Why do I keep doubting myself? Why do I keep second guessing myself? I mean, where's this self-doubt coming from? Because in your now human and you're in now consciousness that you can do whatever you want, that you can live your dreams. You know that you can do it. You know that you can take a leap of faith. You probably know that you have to take a leap of faith. So you're thinking, where is this doubt coming from? You have to remember that these emotions that are trapped in the cells of our body, they've been there our whole lifetime. We've been trapping them our whole lifetime and other lives and inherited. We know all of that, but especially from this lifetime. So like now, you have the consciousness to know that you don't have a reason to self-doubt. You don't have a reason to doubt yourself at all. But you trapped that emotion of self-doubt when you were younger, when you did doubt yourself, when you weren't so conscious, you weren't so aware of how things worked. So don't worry about it. And these thoughts and beliefs that you know they're not true, but so why are they bothering you? That's why they're bothering you, because they're from a previous time when you did believe those thoughts. And now the light's coming in, those limiting beliefs are coming out with the dirty water and with those other negative emotions. So as they come out, you feel them. As they come out, you think them. It's all about the emotions and the thoughts that are in the fourth dimension that we are transcending in order to access higher levels of consciousness. We're going to feel those emotions. We're going to think those thoughts. But our higher self knows that those emotions are not who we really are. And those thoughts are not who we really are either. Okay, so now you understand why you're having these weird negative emotions and why you're having these negative thoughts. So many people say to me, on the one hand, I think this, and on the other hand, I think that. Well, one of them is your higher self that knows the highest and best, most loving, most abundant path for you. And the other one is your ego that's still trying to keep you safe. It's those trapped emotions that you trapped when you were younger, perhaps as a child. It's those thoughts that you had when you were younger. A child or as a young adult or what have you. Oh, they could have come, as I said, from past lives or inherited or what have you. But that's why you're thinking them and that's why you're feeling them. So just to acknowledge that. And with that level of consciousness, you're holding space, remember? And you're doing it with so much love and so much compassion that your heart is expanded. That is how you can grow through grief. Okay? That's how we can expand into higher levels of consciousness while still doing this inner work and still processing these negative emotions and limiting beliefs. Okay, this one's about focusing within, going within and realizing if someone's triggered you, they may have triggered you, but what does that mean? It means they held a mirror up to you. The emotion is yours. It's yours to process. He's on his own. He's going into his cave to process his emotions. He's not taking it out on anybody outside of him. He's not blaming anybody outside of him. He's not blaming any situation. He's not putting himself into victim mode. He knows that the outside world is created from the frequency of your inside. That is why we're all living in a different state of being. We're all experiencing a different reality. I mean, we really are. I mean, obviously, there's a collective reality going on, but most of us only see that on screens, not in real life around us. If you want to change your real life around you, process these emotions. Put the pure light in, let the pure light into the bucket, let that dirty water come out. Let the dirty water come out. Honor the dirty water coming out. Honor your human. They're doing a grand job. Really are. Your human is doing a grand job. You came here to raise the consciousness level of humanity. You came here to raise the frequency of humanity. And you do it by raising your own. And you do that by processing this darkness and letting it out. Do it from a higher level of consciousness, with an open heart, with a grateful heart, with a loving heart. And that way, it all happens so much more easily. You can be detached from the intensity of it all. You don't wallow in victimhood. You realize that this is what you've come here to do. And it all gets so much easier. It really does. Wow. Powerful message, I think, this week. Get in touch if you'd like a private reading. I'd love to read for you. Have a fantastic week. I love you all. Until the next time. Bye for now.